I've been dealing with a lot of people over the years that they're just still struggling, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Well, when I pin them down, well,
Welcome to the Spirit Centered Business Podcast, where we blend the spiritual with the practical for supernatural results. Now, here is your host, Bralynn Newby.
Welcome back to Spirit Centered Business. I'm here with Doc Rodich for part 2. And if you missed part 1, you'll definitely want to go back and get it wherever you're enjoying the podcast, because he told some of the Genesis story of how he got into building these medallions and how he works with the Lord on creating them and the frequencies and what they mean and how they work. So there was a lot of foundational information in part 1. So we really want to dive into each of the medallions themselves. And I am wearing energy right now. So I'm excited
no
to
bouncing off the walls.
no bouncing off the walls. Okay. To drink water so that I calm myself down. No, it's all good. And then I also, I have almost all of your phase 1 or generation 1. Actually,
Right.
no, I have generation 1 and 2,
Mhm.
because you remember the originals you
Oh,
sent
yeah. We
some.
don't even do those
We
anymore.
don't, yeah, exactly. Those are gone. I was like, Doc, the acrylic or whatever they were based in, like this kind of smells. I don't want to put it on me.
Well, we've worked through all of that.
All of that is done. They're so much better. Even generation 2 is so much better than generation 1, but you now have generation 3. So that's so
Yeah.
exciting.
Well, I mean, that's what's crazy because, like we said in the previous segment, the Lord is kind of like just say, "Hey, do this," and I do it, and then He tells me what I'm doing afterwards,
Right.
which is usually the opposite. Most of the people that are in doing heaven and kingdom stuff like we're doing, the Lord will lead them through this big long training time, and different things are going on. It's like, okay, do this, this, and this, and like he was showing me quantum concepts, for instance, because that's what these really are, quantum.
Hmm.
And I kind of knew what quantum was. And then all of a sudden he says, sit down and write. Now I realize we're going to do the books a little later on.
Hmm.
But the value of that is that we have to get a mindset that, well, let me just back up a little bit. We're developing a mindset so that we can be in heaven and earth at the same time.
Right.
Okay. We just didn't know that there was science and technology that was complementary to all of that. The reason is if we stay in the darkness of 3D formatting on planet Earth, we what do they call it? Cognitive dissonance or something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of like seeing the gorilla run out on the basketball court, and if you don't expect him, you don't see him. And there's actually a video like that, and it's just crazy. And all these people, the video just runs right in the middle of the team, and like nobody saw him.
What? That's
Yes, I
crazy.
mean, it was crazy. It was some big test that they did. And so that's the way we are. And one of the great revelations that the Lord has given me lately, and it was one of those, like I told my wife, and she said, "Well, duh." And it's like, well, I know I've only been doing this 53 years, and I finally catch on to it, is that we where we're at right now, we're on assignment. We didn't come here as punishment. No, in a way, it looks like punishment because of what our ancestors did. It's called the original sin. But the revelation that I got was that, well, it's actually twofold, that there's darkness all around us and we're supposed to be the light. Okay. That the medallions really do help with that, by the way.
Mm.
But also that a lot of people have gotten saved not by repenting of the original sin, but just repenting because they were a sinner. You say, well, isn't that the same thing? Aren't we just splitting hairs? Not necessarily. I'm not going to say a person can't be saved by saying I'm a sinner. But if I would, like I mentioned in the first segment, if I was a hitman and went, I need to get right with God. I've killed 87 people and for the CIA and I just don't feel right inside, and so I give my life to Jesus. Well, that's not what separated me from God, technically. Technically, it was Adam and Eve's sin. When I get saved, now I can deal with all that other stuff. Is that making sense?
I think so. Can I rephrase it back to you to make sure I'm understanding? So you're saying um that just because we are you talking about just saying the words I do this, or are you talking about repentance, literally turning 180 degrees, or is that not the conversation?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. And what I'm saying is that I'm not saying somebody who wasn't a hitman couldn't turn 180 degrees, but if their focus was that they were a hitman, that's not what got us into trouble in the first place.
Okay,
It
I
was
see.
the
What?
original sin that got us into trouble. And what I'm proposing
Yeah,
is that there are some individuals that are getting saved because they were an addict, because they were an abuser. You've got to see the original sin first. That's where the big trade took place.
I see what you're saying.
All this other stuff is little stuff.
So it's the generational sin that planted the seed of sin, and your agreement with it by continuing the actions is just one layer. It's like the top layer, and only peeling off the top layer doesn't get you anywhere. You've got to get all the way down to the root. Is that what you're saying?
Right. And the root is the original sin. And
Right.
then we can it's kind of inverted in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many people. And here's what really got me. I've been dealing with a lot of people over the years that they're just still struggling, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Well, when I pin them down, well, my dad used to beat me because I didn't mow the lawn right and stuff like that. And so I gave my heart to Jesus, but I still have this turmoil. Well, do you know what original sin is that Adam and Eve did? Well, yeah, I've heard about it. But in other words, they didn't repent and turn 180 degrees because of the generational sin of their ancestor. That's the only way that Jesus is the gate into the presence of the Father. Okay. Then all this other stuff that are sins, that's what we work through so that we work out our salvation with fear and trembling. It's what establishes and gives us a foundation of being able to move into the light in how we handle the legalities, individual hurts, forgiving, all of that. We're making trades. But what I'm saying is, if you trade a little thing against Jesus, it's not this. There's one big thing that you got to trade. You say, well, why is that? Because I'm finding people that that they've given their heart to Jesus, and some of them are even speaking in tongues, and they're still walking in darkness. It doesn't compute. We are beings of light. Okay.
Mhm.
So I'm not saying that somebody isn't saved, but I'm saying that if somebody's watching this and they're just struggling, there's really only a couple of reasons. Either you don't know that you're not supposed to be struggling, or you're struggling because if you look at why you gave your life to Jesus, did you just want to trade your misery to Jesus? That's kind of a secondary thing. That's my point. And you
I
say, well,
see. Yeah.
why are you talking about all this now? Because the medallions help us work through all the stuff,
Got it.
all the hurts, all the little forgiveness, all the little foxes that spoiled the vines.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be completely into the light, you deal with the original sin. And there's nobody that I've ever met that did that first off that has ever struggled the way that I see other people struggling. Because if you look at Christianity in a broad spectrum, come to Jesus, even if you think that you're half elephant and half zebra, well, that's not inaccurate, but he's going to turn you into a whole being. But we're here in darkness because Satan has a legal right because of what somebody named Adam and Eve did. And when we accept Jesus, he trades what he did on the cross against that legal document being held against me, and I am set free. Now I'm free to work through all the generations, all this body, soul, and spirit. And then when I reach 0 point, I'm not chasing my tail anymore. Now I move into the light, which is Father's presence. Now we get to do a little bit of that over here, but what I'm saying is this walk isn't being taught correctly in a lot of circles.
I would agree with that, definitely.
Yeah, you know what? I had to look at myself and say, you know what? Unless it's God's love in me, I can't love people the way that the word says. Because I see people doing dumb stuff all the time, and I just want to smack them upside the head.
I'm
So
glad
it
I'm not
had to
the
be
only one.
his love. So I said, okay, what needs to change in me so that I can be both a partaker and a purveyor of your love?
So good.
That's what changes. So when I got saved many years ago, it was, believe it or not, a faithful minister who presented the original sin and said, this is why you're out of fellowship with God. Repent of that.
Okay. I'm debating whether I want to take this down a rabbit trail or not. Do you feel like a rabbit trail?
Go ahead.
Okay.
That's what we're
So
here for.
what are your thoughts on the other two injections of sin into the world? The Genesis 6 issue when the watchers came down and had sex with women, and we had the mixture of the seed, and then they taught humanity forbidden knowledge. And then after the flood, the Tower of Babel, where they were so corrupt that Nimrod literally became a Nephilim because of the level of corruption in in what he was doing. And so then from after that, we it says, that the Nephilim were in the earth at the time of the flood and after. So does this original sin concept include kind of like pick those two other instances up along the way, and we need to deal with that? Or dealing with the original sin takes care of everything? How do you see it?
Okay, so where I'm at right now, what I would say is that dealing with the original sin positions us to take care of everything.
Got it.
Okay. That
Okay.
doesn't mean that if somebody's 15% Nephilim or tainted bloodlines or whatever, that they're
Mhm.
going to go to hell. But if the original sin that separated us from fellowship with God, whatever bloodline it came down, as long as it was humanity, some
Mhm.
portion of humanity, when
Mhm.
we deal with that, now we have made the proper trade so that all the other resources that heaven has for us are available for us to work through wounds of the spirit, issues in our soul, issues generationally, even in our physical body.
So would you say that dealing with the original sin opens the ancient pathways in us so that the light can then travel through our physical body the way it does in our spiritual body?
I think getting us to focus on other than the original sin, which was either done on purpose in the background or just through ignorance,
Mhm.
actually is just transferring people out of the deep darkness into a lighter area of darkness. Because
Mhm.
what about that one scripture that says, if the light in you is darkness, how great is that darkness? Isn't that what it's talking about? You just went from dark to gray and you think you're saved.
Yeah.
Deal with the original sin, and now the blood of my son, because we're a new creation.
Right.
We're
We're
born
no
of
longer
water and
sinners.
spirit, we're born from above.
Right.
Okay, so there's the positional, but then I have to tell myself, well, what does that look like in real life? How does that work out? Well, that's why these medallions are just such a tremendous help, because we, if somebody has something generational, let's say that they don't know about,
Mhm.
they're attracting that.
Exactly.
Well, the medallions pick up and they start fighting that so the person can go, whoa, wait a minute. I'm sensing something here in the spirit that I never did before. And then you work through that, and then you work through that. And even my nutritional thing that I was just doing nutrition for however many years. I used to have 2 spiritual tests. Now I've got 13 pages. I go through things that are in the soul. A lot of the generational things, including Freemasonry,
Hmm.
things that can be affecting the physical body that are generational, that show up as little plasma balls that anchor to the physical organs, the
Hmm.
endocrine system, all of those things. Now we're having more of a complete picture of what's been going on. Because
Oh, speaking of new things that I've discovered while working with clients for physical things, I discovered time loops in their body. Oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
okay, so see
Crazy.
what I'm saying? But see how the Lord's taking us line upon line?
Hmm.
Because I asked him, I said, Lord, come on. We know that the governments of the world have been messing with these off planet, we know what they really are, but these off planet folks for a long time.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I mean, there's even paintings by Da Vinci that have spaceships in them and stuff. So they've
yeah.
been doing their thing for a long time. Okay. So there's more going on behind the scenes than what we've been told.
Right.
Why did you wait so long to give it to us? He said, I had a specific time in my plan that when humanity would catch up, I would be able to share the concepts and then show you what the real heaven version of that technology should look like. They are using a perversion and a counterfeited version.
Counterfeit. Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
so and so some of us have been called to pretty much hit that head on.
Hmm.
And so I wear my medallions, I'm blocking EMFs, I wear the actual Taurus one, and I mean, it's almost like stuff's going back and forth all the time. My spirit, I don't even know where my
Yeah.
layers of my spirit are half the time. And it's just it's so cool because we feel like, okay, I'm here as an ambassador, kind of like Mike Huckabee is the ambassador to Israel. Okay,
Okay.
he's boots on the ground in Israel, but he can think back of what his childhood was like in Arkansas and the streets that he used to walk and what it was like to be in the governor's mansion. It's still there in his mind. Well, that's the way we're like now. We have a connection to heaven. That is our home.
Mhm.
Now, whenever we're taken out of here, I'm not waiting and thinking it's going to be tomorrow, even if it was. I want to make a huge difference on everything that's going on around me. We
Mhm.
just didn't know that we could because we haven't been taught that, which is what
Right.
your whole ministry is about.
Yeah. Well, you know, the main thing that I start with is establishing our business in heaven, making sure that we're following the Samuel Accord when he set up the kingdom, because our business is the kingdom. And then after that, though, it's taking a look at the things that are coming against you or inside your inner world, making sure your inner world is not attracting crazy stuff in your business, in your outer world. And then when the Lord shows our destiny scroll for the business, um, getting strategy to how do you actually walk that out. But you can't walk out something, you can't walk out a vision if you can't see it. And so you've got to have your inner world in such a place that you can engage with heaven, which is why I love the medallions. And then you also have to have a belief system that that's real and is possible for you and
Yeah.
you are worth it. So that's why I love your Sunship book, because you talk about that too.
Right.
And
You can't have a mentality that, okay, God, just clean me up so that I can still go boating every weekend and, play golf 5 times a week and, have my little circle of friends and all that kind of stuff.
yeah.
There's nothing inherently bad in any of that. But if we're kingdom people, what does heaven say that we should look like?
Yeah, we're
All
his
levels.
plan. We're part of his plan of redemption of all of creation. We're not the resistance. We're the plan.
Well, that's scary. Okay, so here's another way to look at it. And I realize that we're following rabbit trails, and
Yeah, that's okay. We'll rabbit trail.
But
That's
I get a little video feed, and there's this dude, and he's got this little machine, and he hooks it up to like a plant, and it plays this beautiful ethereal like music, right?
Have you seen those in person? Oh my gosh, they're fun.
Not in person, but I've seen tons of videos on them. So here's what I did the other day. So I got my Taurus on, and then I think I had my energy one on, Taurus and energy, because one boosts the other. So I'm out watering these new trees that we put in the backyard, and I put it to the test. I put my hand, well, let me do it this way. Let's say that this is my hand, and the tree was right about here. And I started talking to the tree, and the tree came over and touched me, and it wasn't windy.
Wow.
So I looked around like this, and well, wait a minute, there ain't no wind. So I watered, went to the next one, and it was a little closer. And I said, "Hello there, tree. What's going on?" And it started going like this.
Oh my
And the
gosh.
tree was moving toward me. What is really going on with everything? You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're
Isn't that the
saying.
mystery that kings and queens are supposed to be seeking out? And
Exactly.
in taking the darkness that has been woven into the fabric of 3D reality and start blowing that apart and replacing it with a higher level of programming that comes directly from the throne of God.
Exactly.
The real
Beautifully said.
issue, the real issue is that we haven't been taught that God stopped at a certain point and said, now my children are going to finish it,
Mm,
or at least do a part of it.
mhm.
Well, that's blasphemy in some circles.
Well, no, Jesus specifically said, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to me. Now you go. So he gave it to us.
But we got to be taught how to do and what to do.
I know. Yeah, the church did not do a good job with that, definitely. As a business coach, I should not be having to teach sonship and kingship and how to navigate the spirit realm and all of that stuff. But because the Lord has given me this, I happily do it. I'm very blessed and honored to do it. And the results that we get from doing that work are just amazing. So I'm really looking forward to the especially the Taurus, but the other ones as well, the new generation, so that we can be even more effective in opening people up to the light. And I would say, when when you were saying there's trapped or hidden generational sin, and the medallion might open that, I would still say that people need to get with a coach who knows what they're doing, either
Yes.
either
Yeah.
Doc or me or someone, so that you know how to navigate the cleanup of that, because just knowing about it doesn't clean it up, and it might be an open access door for the enemy to poke you about it now too, because now then they'll
Well,
add guilt
generally,
and shame.
that's what it is. It's an
Exactly.
open door.
Well, but it'll be even more because now you know about it, so now there's guilt and shame. My family did this, and so it's like it could be bad if you don't handle it. So
Well, to put it in
yeah.
perspective, I'm sitting around one day, and the Lord the Lord starts giving me downloads. After about 6 months, I put them all together, and I showed this to somebody. He said, "Oh my gosh, this is a book."
Mhm.
And so we published this called Moving Towards Sunship.
Yep. That's good.
Maybe somebody else could write a book, Becoming a Son or Daughter, whatever. Okay. But in here, I start at the beginning, darkness, grayness, how the enemy operates. And you say, well, why am I bringing the book in when we're still talking about medallions? And here's why. Because you have to be able to address line upon line generational issues or things you just don't know about that are being the wool being pulled over your eyes every single day. These are aids in helping reveal and give and hooking you up and making you stronger to be able to get rid of that generational alcoholism problem. That generational abuses in so many different forms, and just cut the legs out from underneath it, to take it into court. And you may not even know that that is the recycling through generation and generation. And because there's time loops, most of the time when I discover one, I go all the way back to Adam and Eve and clean it up.
Mhm.
Because I got kings in my background on my mama's side. That's
Mm.
messed up. But my eyes don't go like reptilian, so don't anybody freak out there. But you've seen all those
Hmm.
videos, right? Yeah, they don't
Hmm.
have cat
Yes.
eyes. Look, they're blue. Okay, like Muhammad Ali's brother said to me one time. He says, you and Frank Sinatra got something in common. And I thought, well, I sure don't sing like him. He said, no, you both got blue eyes.
Oh.
And his name was Rahman Ali. So, but anyway, I met him in Louisville. So that's the value of these. So,
Mhm.
so I said, well, Lord, okay, why don't I just make Taurus ones for all of them? He said, because you don't need to. He said, so if you've got an energy one and you've got the Taurus on, the energy in the Taurus is going to make it work 5 times better.
Mhm.
And this is still going to do what it's supposed to do.
Should I share your website and we can go through them?
Sure, sure. If you want
Okay.
to.
All right. Let's see if I can do that. There it is. Okay. Can you see my screen?
In now.
Okay. This is docrodich.com, and this is the Energy Medallions tab. So we learn all about Doc's rocks, why the gemstones, which we talked about in the first series of, actually the very first one years ago, but then again just last week in this one. And so here are the energy and wellness ones. So Doc has been talking about, this is the energy that I'm wearing right now and the PM, right? So these two are sold as a set, correct?
That's right. Because I
Okay.
didn't want anybody not to be able to have something to start with.
Right. Okay. So tell us about focus.
Okay, so I was born. This is funny, with a deviated septum, which was giving me like sinus problems my whole life. Just had my 3rd surgery. That's why I'm still a little crazy with the voice right now, but it's much better. But it was messing with my ability to focus. So I said, Lord, is there something we can do, put together? He gave me about 3 or 4 different things and a formula. And man, when I wear that thing, I am razor sharp. So and honestly, I'm being real with you. I haven't even put it on with the Taurus yet because I don't know how crazy focused I'm going to be, but I may see things I don't want to see. You know what I'm saying? But
Well, I'm looking forward to that one.
but again, there's 2 reasons in health why somebody has a problem. Are your arteries plugged, or is something misperforming because of inherent frequencies in the body?
Mhm.
Now, the frequencies can eventually lead to them being plugged, okay? But if it's the brain, what's going on? Well, I had a sinus infection, but this thing just helped me tremendously. Now, the weight assist, for instance, if somebody's going to go to Shoney's 3 times a week and get double fudge brownie cake, I don't know how much I can help somebody that's 100 pounds overweight. But if
Right.
there's a frequency factor, well, what could that be, Doc? 4G, 5G, TV, Wi-Fi in the home, genetically modified foods that have different frequencies than what God intended. All those are frequencies. This medallion helps some to bring a better frequency base so that at least you won't be damaged at the greater depth. Okay.
Mhm.
The sleep one I came up with because I thought, okay, wait a minute. The strong one is the energy one with all the shungite in it. Why don't I just make the strongest one possible, find out what gemstones help complement sleep and relaxation? And I did. And that's why it's almost completely, you can't see anything in it because that one and the one on the upper left hand corner looks so much alike. If I don't do it that way, you get them mixed up. So the sleep one is super dark. Well, the
Mhm.
pain one, my brother-in-law said, hey, you're doing all this stuff. Can you do something for pain? I said, okay, let me try. Well, so I put something together. And then he gets back to me about a month later and says, you're not going to believe this, but I was having severe migraines 3 times a week. Now only have 1 a week, and it's about half of what it used to be. And the only thing I'm doing different is the medallion.
So with pain, is it blocking pain receptors? What frequency is helping so that you're
Okay, so it's creating an energetic field that is helping in some situations with pain.
Okay.
So if your pain really is coming because of all the things I just listed, Wi-Fi, 4G, 5G, soon 6G, if it's coming because of all of that craziness and from the food, this is really going to help.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when I had a kidney stone, I still wanted to run out in the street and throw myself under a car. I'm sorry, it hurt that bad. Okay.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
didn't help with that because it's a different kind of pain.
Okay. All right.
So,
Very good.
but again, you got a Taurus on, it boosts every one of these 5 times.
Wow. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Spiritual engagement.
Okay, so somebody is work going to courts, they're doing their business plan with you, they're getting cleaned up, there's not a lot of stuff left. And then you got to go, okay, I've spent my whole life just feeling bad for myself and chasing my tail. What's my purpose now?
Mm.
Well, to discover what's on your scroll and your purpose, you need to start sitting on the Father's lap and absorbing his emotional grid, his fire, his heart, his light, his glory. Well, guess what?
Mm.
He gave me medallions to assist you with that. And then when you wear it with the Taurus, it boosts it 5 times. It's the craziest thing I'd have ever seen. I go there almost every night. Honestly, I go sit on the Father's lap and I say, Lord, been a rough day today. Kind of tweaked my back a little bit and playing golf yesterday and, doing this and that. And he just laughs and he gives me a big hug and you say, oh, you're just imagining that. Yes, I am, because my imagination is the viewing screen to the heart and the understanding, and my spirit's actually up there in some form doing it, because
Right.
we get into quantum, Christ in me, the hope of glory. Well, that means he lives in me, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm seated with Christ Jesus in heavenly places, that's not just a metaphor. There is some aspect of my being that is with him now. That's what
Mm-hmm.
quantum is. So quantum
Very cool.
scientists are making some of these old-timey Christians look really, really bad because there's quantum all over the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the book.
So, for instance, how would someone know, how would they decide, like, between quantum light and quantum glory? Because those two seem pretty similar to me. Can you tell me what the difference is between them?
Okay, so to me, glory is kind of the overarching presence of the Lord,
Oh, okay.
whereas light would be a spectrum of that. So if
Okay.
you wanted to know what the big one would, it would be glory.
Got it.
Okay,
Okay.
then do I want fire? Do I want his heart? Do I want his emotions? Do I
And
want his light?
for fire, is that the consuming fire that helps us be refined? Is
It's
that
any
that fire?
To me, it's any fire that comes from God, and most of the time when I see it in the spirit, it's blue. It's a glowing,
Mhm.
effervescent blue.
Okay. Okay. Very
So, you know, folks, I'm learning with y'all, but I got to be honest with you. This is next level stuff, but it's where we should have been all along.
yeah.
But these are our training wheels. These are our helpers. Now,
Mhm.
if I was a young believer, would I jump right into some of these? Maybe I'd, if I had the money, maybe I'd get the glory to put with the Taurus or something like that.
Mhm.
But you still have to go through a process. It's wonderful that I'm saved and I'm redeemed and I feel it and I know I'm saved because everything has just changed exponentially inside of me. But you still got to work out some things.
Mhm.
It's just
Yeah.
part of the training. It's not a big deal. It just takes time.
Right. Right. Okay, and then the sacred medallions.
Okay, so now I'm moving into the light. Father comes to me and he says, son, I've got some high level cosmic assignments for you. So I use the Mazzaroth because the Mazzaroth has to do with the way that God wrote everything in the stars, and then the New Agers and witchcraft people perverted it and called it the zodiac. It
Mhm.
doesn't even relate to that stuff. I want to hear from God. I wear the ephod. I want to have a very high level encounter, but on a governmental level with the Lord Jesus Christ. I wear the morning star because he's the bright and morning star.
Oh, that's good to know. Governmental is Morningstar.
Right. Well, Mazzaroth is too, but it's cosmic, but governmental with Jesus's Morningstar.
Okay.
The Sear one, you might think that the ephod and the Sear are kind of the same thing, but the Sear is mostly if I just want to see better.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the ephod, you're moving in government with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The 12 stones, the high priest did it.
Mm-hmm.
The Urim and Thummim and all that fun stuff that we still really don't know what all that is.
Right.
But then the kind of interesting one is immortality.
Mm.
A lot of people think that we're moving into immortality even on Earth, and there are people that have lived a lot longer than what most people think they can live. I'm not going to question any of that. But here's what I know about this thing. I couldn't wear it for very long. And then there's a lady who has a very deep prophetic visionary type ministry, and she went and asked the Lord about this and said, because your body's not ready for this, you've got to wean into this thing. This does
Oh.
something at such a deep cellular level, but not just cellular, body, soul, spirit, synchronizing, that you wear it when you can, then you lay it aside, and then you put it on for a little more and build up not resistance, but the ability to accept it. And hey, I've only had them a year and a half. I can't tell you you're going to live to be 4,000 years old on Earth. You know,
I'm not sure I would want to be
yeah.
anyway.
And the way things are going, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
who knows? But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if somebody is advancing up and they need that next level accessory
Mm-hmm.
to frequency base wise to explore the realm of immortality, there it is. It's right there for you.
There it is. Okay, now here are the Taurus ones. You kind of already talked about that. There's the picture of how our body is a Taurus. And these are the medallions. We
Now, the
talked
only
about,
thing that I would add is the Taurus, the Taurus,
uh-huh.
in all the Tauruses, they complement any other medallion that you wear with them. But somebody
Okay.
said, well, why would I want any of the others? Well, here's why. Because let's say that you really do need to focus on migraines and pain. So you
Mm-hmm.
wear that Taurus, but then you wear your energy one. Or
Mm-hmm.
you're going to church and you still want to focus on helping with the pain, and you put on your ephod because you're in the prayer line for people or something. The same
Mm-hmm.
thing goes with the others. I've got the focus, I've got the energy. A lot of times I'll wear the Taurus energy one, and then I'll pick, any of the other ones that are more the dog tag looking ones, because you
Mm-hmm.
can wear two at a time. And let me say to your folks too, if you buy any of these, about once a month, you want to set them in the sunlight because it kind of recharges them.
Mm. So you've got pain and Taurus pain and focus and Taurus focus. So if someone, should they just jump to the Taurus?
No, I would just go to the Taurus if
Okay.
they already have the medallions. But the reason I
Well, I'm
make
just saying because
okay, because there's pain up above, right? I get that.
yeah, exactly. There's focus and pain up here in the regular shape ones, but the Taurus, you have focus and pain.
Right. Okay. So the reason because I asked the Lord about this, I said, okay, I could just
Okay.
make one or two. And he said, no, I really want you to make a few more because remember, there's one that's not listed on here, but it is in the sales side.
Oh
And
yeah, the Taurus
that's
Vegas.
Taurus Vegas.
Okay,
And
yeah.
that one has changed my life.
Wow.
I mean, it's
Okay.
crazy. But he basically just told me some people are just going to want the Tauruses, so just go ahead and make them.
Mm-hmm.
But no, if you get the Taurus and then get some of the others to save a little money individually, that's perfectly fine too.
Okay. All right. Very good. And we have one more, the Taurus Destiny. Let's talk about this when we talk about the books, okay? Because we need to wrap up this
Okay.
segment. We'll come back to this one. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And is there any other last nuggets before we jump off that you want to share?
Well, just that I want to encourage everyone that this walk that we're here, being sons and daughters of the Most High, is the greatest honor that we're ever going to have to be on planet Earth at this time. And the fact that the Father is giving us so much in the way of technology and resources to just really go out with a bang, so to speak, but in a good way, is just incredible. So if you're watching this, and maybe you've been down for a while, maybe you've been discouraged about things, I'm going to tell you, deal with that original sin thing, even if it sounds crazy, because hey, if you're a Baptist, you repent and accept Jesus every Sunday anyway. And so I mean, truthfully, we did that in the Pentecostal world too. So I mean, we got saved every Sunday. So seriously, folks, God is doing something so much greater than most of us have ever been taught. Just join the journey with us to find out what it is. It doesn't change anything to the negative. It only moves into the positive. And holiness is still real. Righteousness is still real. And his presence is greater than we could ever imagine. Let's not sell ourselves short as to what we can actually accomplish on planet Earth.
Oh, so good. You can find Doc and his books, the Sunship book and the books that we're going to be talking about in part 3, and all of the medallions over on docrodich.com. We will definitely put that in the show notes as well. And until next time, stay spirit-centered. Peace out. Hey there, SCB peeps. I want to give a huge shout out and deep appreciation and thanks to Candace Benton. She has become a super sponsor for the Spirit Centered Business Show. So I would appreciate you helping me in sending blessings and abundance back to her. Thank you so much, Candace, and you are well loved.
Thank you for listening to Spirit Centered Business with Bralynn Newby. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. The next stage of doing business by being spirit-centered is coming together in collaboration, working with spiritual principles and knowing our destiny. Join our tribe at spiritcenteredbusiness.com, and we'll catch you on the next broadcast. Peace out.